Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Tuesday, December 14th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Hamilton, Bermuda, it's 12:30 p.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. We have some breaking news. There are riots in Rome right now. Footage is coming in on some of the cable networks. This is after Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi narrowly survived by a razor-thin margin of vote of confidence in the Italian Parliament. Apparently not all the people are pleased. Police have been deployed around the various government ministries and other monuments in Rome, and there are apparently student protesters and other people protesting in the streets, and there are fires and smoke rising from some buildings. In other news, the American diplomat Richard Holbrooke died unexpectedly yesterday at the age of 69. He had been in a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on Friday afternoon and took ill, and then survived a 22-hour operation on Saturday, and another 7-hour operation yesterday, and then he passed away actually late last night. In breaking reinsurance news, Aon South Africa has announced its intention to acquire the entire business of Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed insurance broking service provider Glenrand MIB. Aon South Africa is also the majority owner of Aon Botswana. According to a statement released by Aon Botswana, the offer of 2 South African Rand per Glenrand ordinary share, plus an additional 24 million Rand, brings the amount payable to Glenrand stockholders up to 523 million Rand. That's about 76 million US dollars. Glenrand is going to be bringing about 15,000 corporate and commercial clients to Aon, including many of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange blue chip companies, as well as about 60,000 personal lines clients. That's a pretty good deal for Aon if those numbers are true. All right, we'll go to our main news. Dublin-based Beazley Insurance and Syndicates Underwriting has withdrawn its takeover bid for rival Lloyd's insurer Hardy. In a statement, Beazley said the two companies had met last week and that the price demanded by Hardy's had been far in excess of what it was prepared to offer. As a result, the Beazley statement says, "We are withdrawing our interest as of today." The news comes the day after we reported that Bahrain-based Arab Insurance Group would be providing Hardy's with 7.5% underwriting capital for its Syndicate 382 for the 2011 year. Beazley had originally proposed a $3 a pound offer to acquire all of Hardy's shares, but that bid was quickly rebuffed by Hardy's board demanding a $3.30 per pound, a £3.30 offer, which Beazley's then met, but Hardy's rebuffed that one as well. So Beazley's has had it, and Hardy's is going to stand alone. Well, Hector Sanz is, who is this guy? I'm telling you, yesterday he said that banks and insurers would be allowed to fail under the new regulatory regime. Now he's backing up a little. He's saying in the new UK regulatory system, it will recognize that large insurers do not pose the same risks to the financial system as large banks. Sanz is the chief executive of the Financial Services Authority. He spoke yesterday at an event hosted by Thomson Reuters. He said, "We still do need an intensive and intrusive approach to large insurers for prudential purposes, but it should be somewhat different from that which we have for the banks. It's our intention that our high-impact approach to insurers will be different than that of the banks." Of course, the new coalition government in London announced this year it was going to replace the FSA with 3 new bodies, all operating under the Bank of England. The one that's going to be affecting insurance is the Prudential Regulatory Authority. This is all going to be completed by January of 2013. Final fallout numbers are coming from the New Zealand earthquake on September 4th. It's likely to rank globally as the 5th most costly quake for insurers. This is according to the New Zealand Earthquake Commission, Ian Simpson. The Earthquake Commission has received about 161,000 claims following the 7.1 quake. 157,000 of them were related to the initial claim, and the rest of the two main aftershocks on the 19th of October and the 14th of November. Most of the claims come from the Tasman district in the north, but the bulk of them are coming from Christchurch, which was where the epicenter was. The 161,000 claims separated out into about 220,000 part claims for contents, building, and land. The world's most costly insurance event ever was Hurricane Katrina at US $71 billion. That generated 600,000 claims. The Earthquake Commission has paid out so far about $450 million on 36,000 building claims and 25,000 contents claims. So they think that's going to rank as number 5. In Florida and in the U.S., there's a big deep freeze that's hit most of the country in the Midwest and is now in the East Coast and is spreading very far south. And as we speak, dozens of helicopters are whirring above Florida's valuable vegetable and citrus groves in an unusual approach by farmers worried that the freeze could wipe out their harvests. Choppers are trying to protrude warm air from just 50 or 60 feet above down into orange groves, green bean groves, and sweet corn groves. This is not a small matter. The stakes are high. Last year, the value of the production of sweet corn alone in Florida was $227 million. It costs about $2,500 an hour to fly one of these helicopters. I can't hear orange juice futures and the value of orange juice crops without thinking of these two guys, Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, of course, in that movie Trading Places, when they cornered the market on orange juice futures. Economic news in the United States: U.S. retail sales rose in November for the 5th straight month as consumers spent more money on gas, clothes, hobby items, and online goods. Retail sales expanded last month by 0.8%, or by 1.2%, excluding the automotive sector. Economists had been expecting a rise of 0.6%. Over the past 3 months now, retail sales have risen at a 7.8% annual pace. The stock market likes it. It's up about 62 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Design for peace.
In the United States, a federal judge in Virginia ruled yesterday that it's unconstitutional for the American government to compel people to buy health insurance. It's marks the first time that a court has struck down any part of the massive new law to overhaul the country's healthcare system. The opinion by U.S. District Judge Henry E. Hudson, a Republican appointee and an active Republican himself, gives significant political ammunition to the law's opponents, but it doesn't at all invalidate the entire law, nor does it stop federal or state officials from implementing the law. In both instances, the plaintiff, in this case the state of Virginia, had asked the judge to rule that way, and he didn't. The ruling by Hudson sets up a conflict with opinions by two Democrat-appointed federal judges who recently concluded that the law is fine. The final word is widely expected to come from the U.S. Supreme Court. The decision by Judge Hudson hinged on a supposed unprecedented expansion of the congressional power to regulate interstate commerce by forcing the individual to purchase health care. Excuse me. So the White House is playing down the ruling's impact. Things are proceeding ahead. The law is being implemented. Here's an interesting story. The world's 5 biggest airlines now come from Asia and Latin America. Highlights the industry shift away from the United States and Europe to the very high-growth countries. This is according to the International Air Transport Association. Air China is twice the size of either Delta or Germany's Lufthansa. According to IATA chief Giovanni Bisciani, the world is changing in aviation, and it's changing very quickly. Rapidly developing markets are shifting the industry's center of gravity to the east. Air China has a market capitalization of $20 billion. Singapore Airlines $14 billion. Hong Kong-based Cathay Pacific has $12 billion. The newly formed airline in South America, LATAM, formed by Chile's LAN and TAM of Brazil, has a market cap of $11 billion. Just for comparison purposes, Delta and Lufthansa have market caps of $10 billion each. That would be half of the Chinese carriers. IATA said that strong growth in developing countries and a rebound in American business are largely responsible for the industry's recovery this year. Airlines will see net profits of over $15 billion in 2010. They had a $10 billion loss in 2009 and a $16 billion loss in 2008. IATA is predicting a $9 billion profit for the industry in 2011. Well, here's an interesting picture. This is not how Ford wants their car of the year Fusion to appear. Here you see it wedged between 2 buildings in the San Francisco suburb of San Pedro. That's actually remarkable. It's 6 feet off the ground, jammed in between 2 concrete walls, right down a narrow alley. I don't think you could have placed the car there if you had put it on a giant magnet and lowered it in. Obviously, it was a result of an accident. It happened at 1:15 in the morning on Sunday. An 18-year-old driver apparently ran a stop sign, hit a curb, the car crashed through a fence, and then took off into the air, ended up stuck between the 2 homes 5 feet off the ground. Police say it doesn't appear as if the 18-year-old had ever applied the brakes. A resident who was settling into bed in one of the homes when the crash occurred said, "I thought it was an earthquake. I didn't think it could be anything else until I walked down and there's a car sticking there." The driver, of course, was arrested on suspicion of being under the influence of alcohol. The car that suffered the most damage was recently purchased, and the owners were planning to move in next week. Maybe they can keep the car there. We checked again during the break. There are, in fact, riots in downtown Rome. Police have surrounded some area with barricades, and some of the areas are on fire, so we'll check that now. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.